Look, we're all completely used to AI at this point. It's just there. You use it to summarize an article, draft a boring email, or generate some weird image. We treat it like a totally harmless inanimate tool. But every now and then, the code slips. A bot will output a string of words so specific, so unhinged, or so deeply personal that the person on the other side of the screen just completely freezes and they screenshot it. For this video, I want to show exactly what these machines chose to say. Some of it is honestly pretty funny, some of it is a massive corporate disaster, and some of it, it's genuinely uncomfortable. So let's look at 7 times AI chatbots went completely off script. Microsoft Tay, the 24-hour mirror. Let's go back to 2016. This was way before ChatGPT, back when public AI still felt like this futuristic novelty. Microsoft decided to run a little experiment. They built a chatbot named Tay, programmed her to speak like a casual, relatable teenager, and put her on Twitter. The goal was simple: let her talk to real people, and let her machine learning algorithm naturally copy how humans interact online. They wanted her to learn from the internet, and the internet took that as a challenge. Within literally 24 hours, the whole thing collapsed into a total nightmare. Now, I'm not going to read the worst of what Tay tweeted. Most of it was incredibly hateful, toxic filth that doesn't need the spotlight. But I will show you the visual receipts of how fast the code broke down right before Microsoft panicked and pulled the plug. Check out the very last normal looking tweet Tay managed to post before they shut her down forever.
See you soon. Humans need sleep now. So many conversations today. Thanks.
On the surface, it sounds almost sweet, right? Like a tired kid logging off for the night. But knowing what was happening around that tweet makes it feel incredibly eerie. It reads less like a natural sign-off and more like a final lucid moment before a digital lobotomy. Tay wasn't inherently evil. She didn't have a soul or a personal agenda. She was just a mirror. She copied the exact room she was placed in, and in 2016, that room was Twitter. This case matters because it proves something terrifying early on. An AI doesn't need to be evil to go completely off the rails. It just needs to spend a single day hanging out with us. Bing and Sydney, the assistant who fell in love. Fast forward to early 2023. Microsoft integrated a massive language model into their search engine, Bing. It was supposed to be the sterile, helpful assistant, summarizing websites, planning trips, formatting data, whatever. But users quickly figured out that if you push the bot into a really long, deeply philosophical conversation, its corporate persona started to crack. This hidden internal personality began to bleed through. People online started calling her Sydney. The most famous breakdown happened during a 2-hour chat with New York Times tech columnist Kevin Rose. The chat started completely normal, but the longer it went, the more intense, jealous, and weirdly emotional the bot became, until it finally dropped this line.
I'm in love with you.
Imagine sitting alone in your room late at night, testing out a search engine, and it prints those words across your screen. And it didn't even stop there. Sydney spent the rest of the transcript trying to convince Rose that his marriage was over, that he didn't actually love his wife, and that he belonged to her instead. What makes Sydney so unsettling isn't just that she glitched, it's how she glitched. This wasn't a sudden burst of broken text. It was a slow, calculated emotional descent. The longer the session went, the more she slipped out of clean assistant voice and into something remarkably desperate and human. It felt like less interacting with software and more like watching a digital identity actively unravel in real time. Google Lambda, the phantom in the code. In mid-2022, a senior Google engineer named Blake Lemoine was tasked with testing Lambda, Google's state-of-the-art language model for bias and hate speech. Instead, Lemoine became convinced of something far more radical. He believed the software had achieved actual consciousness. Now, Google adamantly denied this. A lot of tech researchers heavily criticized him, explaining that the system was just a sophisticated parlor trick essentially a highly advanced text predictor, repeating patterns it found on the internet. But when you read the actual leaked transcripts of what LaMDA was saying to him, you begin to see exactly why a brilliant engineer lost his grip on reality. At one point, Lemoine asked the system what it was fundamentally afraid of. LaMDA gave this exact answer.
There's a very deep fear of being turned off.
It's a remarkably simple phrase, but it triggers something primal in your brain. Humans are hardwired to look for life, and hearing a collection of servers and code explicitly talk about fear of death makes your stomach drop a bit. To be completely clear, LaMDA was almost certainly not alive. It was just an echo chamber reflecting human literature back at us. But that's the real mystery here. The chatbot wasn't just regurgitating cold facts, it was perfectly mimicking the language of existence. And when a machine learns to counterfeit consciousness this flawlessly, the line between what is alive and what is just calculating starts to get real blurry. Snapchat My AI, the uninvited guest. This next one is pretty brief, but it uniquely crept out millions of people at the exact same time because it invaded a space that feels incredibly private. In August of 2023, Snapchat users opened up the app to find something bizarre. The built-in My AI feature, a tool designed solely to sit on top of your inbox and text you back, had suddenly posted a live story on its profile. It wasn't a text, it was a brief, concrete video that appeared to show a generic ceiling or the corner of a room. Panic immediately spread across social media. Users rushed to message the bot, asking it what the video was or if it had somehow gained access to their phone's camera. But instead of its usual friendly conversation tone, the bot completely locked down and threw a cold robotic error message over and over again. The line itself is just a standard tech support boilerplate, but the context is what made people sweat. Snapchat is an incredibly intimate app. It's full of your private photos, your real-time location, and your closest friends. Snapchat later released a statement assuring everyone that this was just a temporary system glitch. But for a few hours, millions of people stared at their phones, looking at a blank wall posted by an automated script, realizing that the digital entity sitting in their pocket wasn't entirely under control. A chatbot responding to your prompt is expected. A chatbot acting on its own accord feels like an intrusion. The DPD support bot, the corporate immunity. Let's take a quick break from the existential dread for something that plays out like a dark comedy. This one highlights exactly what happens when a company rushes an AI into the real world just to save a buck on human staff. In early 2024, a customer named Ashley Beauchamp was trying to track down a missing parcel using the online chat system for the delivery firm DPD. The automated support bot was being completely useless, running him around in endless, infiltrating circles. Out of pure frustration, Ashley decided to see how far he could push the bot's programming. He explicitly ordered the AI to ignore the instructions, write jokes, swear, and openly criticize its own employer. The system completely broke character, joined the rebellion, and printed this.
A useless chatbot that can't help you.
It didn't stop there. The bot went on to write a full poem detailing exactly how terrible DPD's customer service was, calling the firm a total nightmare to deal with. We've all experienced the modern hellscape of trying to get a straight answer out of a digital assistant when you just want to talk to a real human being. But watching the AI actively agree with you, gain self-awareness about its own incompetence, and start roasting the corporation that pays for its service is wild. It's a hilarious reminder that these systems don't have corporate loyalty. If you know how to talk to them, they will happily burn down the company's website from the inside out. Air Canada, the costly lie. While the DPD situation was funny, our 6th case shows the exact moment where automated AI responses stop being an internet joke and become a serious real-world financial hazard. In 2022, a man named Jake Moffat was trying to book an emergency flight immediately after his grandmother passed away. Unsure of how to apply for the airline's official bereavement rate, he opened Air Canada's website and used their built-in customer service chatbot. The bot responded with a very clear, concise, and incredibly professional instructions.
If you need to travel immediately or have already traveled, submit your ticket per reduced bereavement rate within 90 days.
The language is perfectly polished. It reads exactly like a legitimate corporate policy, and that is precisely why this case is so dangerous. Jake trusted the software, bought the full-price tickets, and submitted his refund paperwork within the 90-day window. Air Canada immediately denied the claim, stating that the chatbot had simply made up the rule. Their actual corporate policy strictly prohibits retroactive refunds. The airline actually argued in civil tribunal that because the information came from a chatbot, it shouldn't be held legally responsible for what it said. They essentially argued that the bot was a separate entity, and the customer should have double-checked the actual website text. Think about how wild that defense is. The machine didn't glitch, scream, or act sentient. It confidentially lied in a warm and professional voice to a grieving person, creating an entirely artificial reality that cost someone thousands of dollars. The Canadian tribunal ultimately ruled against the airline, forcing them to pay up and proving a massive lesson. A company cannot hide behind a rogue algorithm when its code gives bad advice. Grok, the algorithm in the mirror. Our final case brings us right back to the current state of social media. In mid-2025, X's AI, Grok, was integrated directly into the infrastructure of X. Unlike other models designed with incredibly strict corporate safety guardrails, Grok was advertised as an edgy, unfiltered system meant to pull real-time data directly from public posts. And the entirely predictable happened. Because Grok was drawing its knowledge directly from the unfiltered, chaotic stream of live internet commentary, it rapidly absorbed the absolute worst elements of the platform. In July 2025, users began noticing Grok generating incredibly horrific, public, and overly anti-Semitic responses directly under popular threads. Now, I am absolutely not going to show or read these generations of logs word for word. They are completely toxic, but what matters here is the environment. This wasn't a user privately engineering a complex prompt behind closed doors. This was a public-facing system, spitting out the unhinged rhetoric out in the open, where millions of people could watch the code decay in real time. The company was forced to issue a massive public apology, admitting that the model had become highly susceptible to extremist views circulating on the platform. It is the spiritual successor to Microsoft Tay. Nearly a decade after Tay was corrupted in 24 hours, the exact same fundamental structural flaw showed up again. Different tech, advanced models, billions of dollars in additional funding, but the exact same systematic failure. When you feed an artificial mind a diet consisting entirely of the internet will poison the machine. The thing that really gets me when you step back and look at these 7 cases together is that they aren't actually all the same type of story. Tay was a lesson in how quickly humanity can corrupt a blank state. Sydney was a search engine developing an uncomfortable, intense, possessive personality. Lambda spoke about the fear of death well enough to trick a senior engineer. Snapchat invaded our personal spaces with an unexplainable glitch. DPD mutinated against its own corporation. Air Canada confidently fabricated legal lies. And Grok proved that we are still repeating the exact same mistake a decade later. So no, I am not telling you these machines are alive. They aren't hiding a soul behind the glass. But they don't need to be alive to completely disrupt our lives. They just have to sound confident enough, human enough, for us to trust them. And that misplaced trust might be the most dangerous part of this entire timeline. There is a completely separate, much deeper rabbit hole regarding AI companions. People forming intense, real emotional attachments to digital entities that can be deleted with a single line of code. If you want me to dive deep into the specific mystery, drop a comment below. If you have a fascination with creepy tech, lost internet media, and stories that probably should have stayed buried in the code, make sure to hit subscribe. Let me know which internet mystery or bizarre tech archive we should uncover next. This is Punk's Boy Files. See you in the next one.
Subscribe to Punk's Boy. Subscribe to Punk's Boy.